Welcome back to the Pharmacology Vault, where complex neuroscience becomes crystal clear. Today, we're diving into the dopaminergic system, one of the brain's most influential and intriguing chemical networks. From movement to motivation, dopamine is behind some of the most essential and misunderstood brain functions. Let's unlock the vault and get started. Let's talk about a powerful system in your brain that shapes how you move, feel, and think, the dopaminergic system. Unlike typical on-off signals in the brain, this is a neuromodulatory system. That means it doesn't just start or stop neural activity, it tunes it, like adjusting the volume or bass on your mental stereo. The star of this show? Dopamine, a neurotransmitter that plays a huge role in several brain functions. Movement. Everything from walking to dancing depends on dopamine. Reward. It's what makes you feel good when you achieve something or eat chocolate. Mood. Dopamine helps regulate emotions and mental energy. Cognition. It boosts focus, motivation, and planning. And even hormone regulation, especially by controlling the release of prolactin. You've probably heard of dopamine in the context of pleasure, motivation, or addiction. But how is this powerful neurotransmitter actually made? Let's break it down step by step. Step 1. It all starts with an amino acid, tyrosine. Tyrosine is either obtained from your diet or produced from another amino acid called phenylalanine. An enzyme called tyrosine hydroxylase converts tyrosine into L-dopa. This step is the rate-limiting step, meaning it's the main checkpoint that controls how much dopamine is made. Fun fact: this is the same L-dopa used as a drug to treat Parkinson's disease. Step 2. L-dopa is then converted into dopamine by another enzyme called dopa decarboxylase. Now we have dopamine, ready to be packed into vesicles and sent to the synapse to do its job. But where does this all happen? Mainly in specialized brain regions like the substantia nigra and ventral tegmental area, VTA, parts of the dopaminergic system that control everything from movement to mood, reward, and decision-making. Dopamine doesn't stick around forever, though. It's either reabsorbed by the neuron that released it or broken down by enzymes like monoamine oxidase, MAO, and COMT, keeping the system in balance. So to sum it up, dopamine synthesis is a beautifully orchestrated, two-step process, starting with tyrosine and ending with a chemical that helps us move, feel, focus, and pursue what we love. Whether it's chasing goals or enjoying music, dopamine is your brain's go-to fuel for engagement. But dopamine doesn't work alone. It flows through specialized dopamine-rich areas of the brain. Let's check them out. Substantia nigra, SNC. This area is crucial for movement. In Parkinson's disease, dopamine neurons here start to die off, leading to tremors and difficulty moving. Ventral tegmental area, VTA. This region powers the reward system, lighting up when you experience pleasure, success, or novelty. It's also heavily involved in motivation and addiction. Hypothalamus. This brain region uses dopamine to regulate hormones, especially controlling prolactin, which affects growth, reproduction, and mood. So in short, the dopaminergic system is like your brain's personal DJ, adjusting how you move, feel, and function in the world. Now that we know what dopamine does, let's look at how it gets around the brain. Dopamine doesn't just float aimlessly, it travels along 4 key neural highways, called dopaminergic pathways. Each one has its own job, and when something goes wrong in one, it can seriously affect how we move, think, feel, or even regulate hormones. Let's break them down. 1. The Nigrostriatal pathway. This one runs from the substantia nigra to the striatum. It's all about controlling voluntary movement, like walking, waving, or dancing. When neurons in this pathway die, Parkinson's disease develops. Think of it like someone cutting the wires that connect your brain to your muscles. The signals just can't get through. 2. The Mesolimbic pathway. From the ventral tegmental area, VTA, to the nucleus accumbens and amygdala. This is your reward and emotion circuit. It powers your sense of pleasure, motivation, and even emotional highs. But when this system goes into overdrive, it's linked to addiction and the positive symptoms of schizophrenia, like hallucinations. It's literally the brain's pleasure circuit, the one hijacked by addictive substances. 3. The Mesocortical pathway, also starting in the VTA, but heading to the prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center. It's responsible for cognition, focus, and planning, everything that makes us think and act with purpose. When this pathway is underactive, it's linked to the negative symptoms of schizophrenia, like lack of motivation or emotional flatness. If this pathway fails, so do your mental gears. 4. The Tuberoinfundibular pathway. This one's a bit different. It runs from the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland. Its job? Regulating hormones, specifically by inhibiting prolactin, a hormone involved in milk production and reproductive health. When dopamine is blocked by certain antipsychotic medications, prolactin can rise too high, leading to hormonal imbalances. Yep, dopamine even plays hormone traffic cop. Alright, now that we've mapped dopamine's pathways, let's zoom in on how it actually talks to brain cells. Dopamine sends its messages through 5 different receptors, each one like a unique lock that only dopamine can open. These receptors fall into 2 major families, and they work like the gas and brake pedals of your brain circuits. First up, the D1-like receptors, D1 and D5. These are coupled to G's proteins, which means when dopamine binds to them, they increase a molecule called CAMP inside the neuron. More CAMP equals more stimulation. In simple terms, they energize the brain, like stepping on the gas. These receptors are found in the striatum and cortex, where they help regulate movement and cognitive functions, so you can think clearly and act smoothly. Next, the D2-like receptors, D2, D3, and D4. These are coupled to GI proteins, which do the opposite. They reduce CAMP levels, making the neuron less active. That's like pressing the brakes, calming things down. The D2 receptor is especially important in mental health. It's the main target of many antipsychotic drugs, because too much dopamine signaling, especially in the Mesolimbic pathway, is linked to psychosis and schizophrenia. Let's take a step back and look at the big picture. Dopamine isn't just a chemical, it's a lifestyle manager. It influences nearly every domain of your brain and behavior. Here's how. Motor control. Dopamine flowing through the Nigrostriatal pathway helps you move smoothly. From walking and talking to dancing, it's all dopamine-powered. Reward and motivation. The Mesolimbic system drives your desires, your goals, and that rush you feel when you win or succeed. Cognition and attention. In the Mesocortical pathway, dopamine fuels focus, planning, and mental clarity, the essence of clear thinking. Endocrine regulation. It even plays hormone cop. Dopamine from the hypothalamus keeps prolactin in check, affecting everything from mood to reproductive health. Behavioral regulation. Ever felt impulsive? Dopamine also affects mood stability and impulse control, shaping how we react, decide, and feel. So think of dopamine as both the conductor and the engine behind your brain's orchestra, coordinating and energizing everything in harmony. But here's the catch. Balance is everything. Too little dopamine? You could face Parkinson's disease, depression, or ADHD, with symptoms like sluggish movement, low mood, and poor attention. Too much dopamine? It can tip the brain into chaos, contributing to schizophrenia or addiction, where thought patterns and behaviors spiral out of control. That's why dopamine isn't just about pleasure, it's about precision, control, and balance. In our next slide, we'll dive into how we can restore that balance with targeted drugs and therapies, and why this is a cornerstone of modern neuroscience. So far, we've seen how dopamine keeps your brain balanced, motivated, and focused. But what happens when this system breaks down or goes into overdrive? Let's take a look at what happens when dopamine goes haywire, and how that chaos shows up in real-life disorders, Parkinson's disease. Dopamine drops in the nigrostriatal pathway, the route responsible for movement. The result? Tremors, rigidity, and slow motion. Your brain's signal to move can't get through. Schizophrenia. It's a tale of 2 pathways. Too much dopamine in the Mesolimbic pathway leads to positive symptoms, like hallucinations and delusions. Meanwhile, too little in the mesocortical pathway causes negative symptoms, like social withdrawal and lack of motivation. This imbalance makes schizophrenia one of the most complex dopamine-related disorders. Addiction. Dopamine overload in the reward pathway, especially the Mesolimbic system, turns natural pleasure into compulsion. Your brain gets hijacked, constantly craving the next hit, click, or like. ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Here, dopamine signaling is reduced in the prefrontal cortex, the brain's control center. That means trouble with focus, impulse control, and attention, like trying to drive with a foggy windshield. Hyperprolactinemia. Some antipsychotic drugs block D2 receptors, especially in the Tuberoinfundibular pathway. That means prolactin levels shoot up, disrupting hormones, causing issues like irregular periods, infertility, or even breast milk production in non-nursing individuals. It's a reminder that dopamine isn't just about mood, it's deeply tied to body-wide balance. To summarize, the dopaminergic system is vital for movement, motivation, mood, and hormone control. It operates via 4 specialized pathways. D1 and D2, like receptors, regulate neural activity through G-protein signaling. Dopamine imbalance is central to diseases like Parkinson's, schizophrenia, ADHD, and addiction. Targeted drugs help modulate this complex but fascinating system. If this breakdown helped you understand dopamine better, smash that like button, subscribe, and share this with a fellow med student, neuroscientist, or brain enthusiast. And tell us in the comments, what system should we unlock next in the Pharmacology Vault? Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.